Clinton lacks a track record of accomplishment. She is not candid, which suggests her character is flawed. And I think now in Emailgate, we not only have a situation where she's clearly not being candid. I mean, her saying that all of those emails she erased were just her and Bill chatting is a little bit like Richard Nixon saying that those erased moments on the tape were he and Pat talking. It's ridiculous.
All right, there you go. Carly Fiorina, ladies and gentlemen. Joining us now is John Sununu, former governor of the great state of New Hampshire, former chief of staff to President George H.W. Bush. Governor, welcome. Let me ask you a question before we get to Hillary and maybe the Middle East. Carly Fiorina, I like her, and I think she'd be a good candidate. Tell me what you make of her. And you know, Chris Wallace brought up to her, he said to her, you're going to get Romneyed, because when she was head of Hewlett-Packard, she had to lay people off, and, you know, there's going to be 2 or 3 people, maybe 20 or 30 people coming forward saying, I was fired by her, my wife lost her health insurance, and she got sick. You know, how do you prevent that?
Well, thanks for having me on. Look, Carly is a very smart lady. She did a very good job in the private sector. She is very sensitive to political issues, and I think she's been great talking about issues over the last couple of months. What Chris Wallace brought up is a question when Carly was there, she had to lay people off, and he was saying, what happens if somebody says, how many people did you have to lay off? And the right answer for Carly is, how many people died at Benghazi under Secretary Clinton? That
is great. And one more on her. As a woman, is she able to, in your view, go after Hillary or respond to Hillary in ways that maybe some of the male candidates can't or won't?
Well, we've seen the Democrats love every time you criticize President Obama, they cry racism. Every time you criticize Hillary Clinton, they cry sexism. When Carly does it, they're not going to be able to do that. So she not only will be perhaps a very interesting candidate in the Republican primary cycle, but she'll be a great spokesman for the party against Hillary Clinton if Hillary gets the nomination.
All right. Speaking of Hillary, we have the committee, the Benghazi committee today, requesting that she testify no later than May 1st to answer questions about the email and the server. And we also find out, of course, Friday that the server was wiped clean, she says. And we also know today that, according to a published report, she used another device. Remember, she didn't want to use 2 devices. So she used another device to email at least Uma Abedin and probably others. So her story's falling apart. She admits she cleaned the server after she was asked to hand over all the things, and including the server itself. How does she survive this?
Well, you have to remember the Clintons are very good at surviving, and I'm actually surprised. I've said it before. I'm surprised she's let this get as out of hand as it has. She has the problem now of being caught not having represented correctly her use of both her phone and her iPad. That's multiple devices. And secondly, 30,000 private emails wiped off. That's as many as the emails they said seemed to be okay. It is hard for me to believe that at least a decent number of those weren't mixed emails, like a couple of the ones that have been made publicly recently. And I think she has a second serious problem in the timing of when she cleaned her server. She cleaned it after the Department of State had asked her to preserve her emails and deliver them back to the Department of State, to the State Department. So this is getting much more complicated for her than I think she ever anticipated. It'll be interesting to see what their next sequence of response is in light of this request by the committee to come in and testify under oath.
Yeah, going to be very interesting. Okay, let me ask you about what we're seeing. The deadline extended. The talks continue through to tomorrow in Switzerland on Iran. It just seems, you know, today the military leader of the Revolutionary Guard said the annihilation of Israel is non-negotiable. Of course, last week the Ayatollah led the crowd in a chant of death to America. Is this, I don't know, is this Orwellian? Or how would you explain that we're begging these people to like us and sign an agreement while they're saying these things?
But the worst part of all of it is the turmoil that's going on in the Middle East, much of it funded by the Iranians. The problems in Yemen are clearly funded by the Iranians. Much of the difficulty in Syria is funded by the Iranians. They have been funding Hezbollah for a long time, and the fact is that they are trying to meddle everywhere in the Middle East, cause problems, and scaring the Arab world.
Yeah.
And as a result, I don't understand the obsession of this president to negotiate and legitimize them.
Well, unless his plan is to have Iran be the big player in the Middle East at the expense of all our former allies. I mean, that's been speculated. John Sununu, thank you so much, sir. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Take care. All right, folks, when we come back, Lanny Davis. Don't miss it.